Hey everybody, welcome to another video review. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Hot Toys 1-to-1 life-size Infinity Gauntlet. I wanted to start off the review with me next to it so you sort of have an idea of exactly how huge it is. I'm basically sitting right next to it and put my hand over here. This gives you an idea of just how gigantic this is. It's pretty crazy and amazing. It basically shows you or gives you an idea of how huge Thanos himself is in the movie Avengers Infinity War, because this is a life-size and licensed 1-to-1 from the movie, okay? Pretty interesting that Hot Toys would be the one to come out with this when we knew that Avengers Infinity War was coming out. Everyone who collects this type of stuff knew that a 1-to-1 Gauntlet was coming. The question is what company, the price, the weight, material, all of that. And I have to admit, all of us, I think we're a little bit shocked that no major company like EFX or HCG or Sideshow stepped up to the plate to do it. As you would expect, there is certainly a history of that from these companies, but none of them stepped up to the plate to take care of it. And we wound up having some pretty, in my opinion, unknowns do it. I think there's only two versions. One is the Taurus version, which is quite a bit cheaper. And then we have, of course, the Hot Toys, which is a shock because Hot Toys is mainly known for their 1/6 figures, which is plastic, has a lot of change outs. They're amazing. They're based in Hong Kong, and they make pretty much without much debate the most comprehensive, most diverse line of 1/6 scale figures. There's not much competition there. There's like Enterbay and other companies, of course, but they don't have the size and the licenses and the sheer manpower and quantity that Hot Toys has. Now they've been branching out in the past with die cast figures, with quarter scale figures that are basically the same size as statues, and their price point certainly is very high. I mean, a quarter scale Iron Man statue is going to be running over $500, which is approaching essentially the price of a quarter scale statue. But they don't usually do this type of work. So it was surprising that they did it. Now the question is, did they do a good job? In my opinion, I think they did a fantastic job. There aren't a lot of video reviews of this gauntlet out there on the internet. Because Hot Toys is based in Hong Kong, there's a couple of videos a few months ago from collectors and companies in Asia that show some unboxing, maybe one or two. And in the United States, I think there's maybe 2 videos out there that show this. So I wanted to take the opportunity to put this out there, another voice, another impression, another review. So this retails for close to $1,000, and we add in shipping and tax, it's over $1,000. One thing to note, this is not plastic, it's made out of polystone. Both the base and the glove is very heavy. Total is going to be about 40 to 50 pounds. It comes in a box that's really, really huge. The box, I think, is about the size of the box I got from Cinemaquette for my Iron Man Mark 43. So a huge box. The weight is manageable, but it's very, very burly. Looking at the finish, there's some complaint. So I'm going to stand up now so you can actually see how tall I am, and you can see again how big this glove is. It goes basically from my waist all the way up, almost to my head. There's been some complaints, I think, about the color, and is it gold enough? But I'm satisfied with it. It's weathered. There's some dark areas here or there, almost rust spots. But overall, I love the detail of the fact that it's very accurate to the movie, of course, as you would expect. It's from the original mold. I love all of that about it. And the gems here are plastic, but they don't feel cheaply made. And the lights are actually very, very good. Speaking of the lights, it's powered by USB ports. We'll get into a little bit of the problem with that later on, but there's no battery power for this. You have to plug it in, either to a power bank or directly to an outlet. So there are 2 modes. What you're seeing here is the obvious one, where basically all the gems are lit up. The colors are very accurate. You have the time stone in green on the thumb. You have the mind stone in yellow here. Of course, the soul stone in orange, the reality stone in red, the space stone in blue, and the power stone in purple. All those colors are very accurate. It looks really nice. If you switch it over into the middle, you'll turn it off. We'll do that right now. So now it's off. If you switch it to the other end, you go into mode 2, which is the pulsating or breathing mode. So we do that and you can begin to see it pulse. I'm going to dim the lights so you can see it a little bit better. It's a really neat effect, and it looks really, really nice in dim lighting. In fact, if I were to display this with the lights, I would do it like this. Very, very nice effect, and it really does look like it's breathing. I'll turn it around so you kind of get an appreciation for it. And again, in the dim lighting, you also can get a better idea of the colors of the stone and what they look like. So, really cool. Again, I can switch it off and then back on, and this is constant on. Get an idea for that. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna turn on the lights. So let me turn off the lights so I can unplug the power supply. And then talk a little bit about how you put all of this together. The box is huge to protect this, and I think Hot Toys spared no expense in doing that. They didn't take any shortcuts, so they deserve some credit for that. Unfortunately, it creates a situation where the shipping is murder. I see that box, I just can't think of any possible situation. I mean, I guess they'd have a corporate account maybe with UPS or Federal Express, but it's just huge. I can't imagine it costing less than a few $100s to be able to ship something like this. This is the sort of thing that can just basically destroy your margin if you're doing this for a business. It comes in 2 pieces, the glove itself and the base. This thing's easily 20 pounds, the base probably equivalent. And so what you're supposed to do to get all of this, done is you have to take the USB cable. There's 2 of them. So there's one like this, and there's 2 of them exact same length. One USB cable is used to connect the glove to the base. That's really tricky. Believe it or not, you can actually take this glove and put it over your arm. There's a bar on the inside of the glove for you to grab with your hand. At one end of that bar is the USB port for this to fit in. Now that bar, besides serving as a place for your hand to hold it in case you want to do goofy things like, I guess, pose with it or play with it, which I'm not going to do. I think there are videos out there of people doing it, but I don't want to mess this up. It is pretty heavy. And once you hear me explain how you set this together, you understand why I don't want to mess around with it and play with it. But basically, the bar also fits into a horizontal groove that's part of the base. So glove with the bar on the inside, and you set it in. You can't see it. You have to sort of eyeball it and then feel it. You have to kind of get the glove over this huge, peg with the groove at the very top, and you just sort of have to feel it, and you gently put it down, you move it, and then you kind of feel it actually slot in place. One end is where this plugs in. The other end is on the base, and the problem is they do not give you a lot of slack. I mean, basically from the bar to the base, you just have barely enough cable to get this done. They did this because they didn't want you to have to mess with a lot of extra slack. So they don't want you to stuff it up there, to try to hide it. So they made it basically about as long with a couple inches to spare. But this creates a huge problem trying to actually connect the USB cable. You can't, for instance, hook it up, put the glove on, and then find the other end and then basically insert it. There's not enough room once this glove is on the base for your fingers to get in there. It's really tricky to do. I mean, you have little fingers, if very dexterous with your fingers, maybe you can do it, but it would be difficult. So what you're really supposed to do, at least what the instructions say you're supposed to do, is you take this glove, you put it on the side, you plug one end of it into the glove, and then with one hand, you sort of hold it in place, and where you're levitating it over the base, it's over the peg, levitating over the base, you then plug the other end into the base. Once the USB cable is plugged in, you're supposed to then kind of gently maneuver and then boom, slip it down, bar into groove. If this sounds really weird and difficult and kind of awkward, then the answer is it is. You're supposed to do this with 2 people to help you out, and I did it by myself, and it was not the easiest thing to do. Again, 20 pounds is not the heaviest thing in the world, but it's not like 20 pounds you're using to curl or something. It's like this really awkward, ridiculous 20-pound gigantic glove, right? At the end of the day, that's what it is. So once you put all that together, then the second USB cable goes into the back of the base, and then the other end, and this is where, again, I have to criticize Hot Toys a little bit. The other end has to go into this essentially power plug or DC adapter, which they do not give you. It says it's not included, which is, in my opinion, absolutely insane when you think about how much money you are actually paying for something like this, for them not to include that. I mean, I don't know what the Asian market is like, or whether they're just sending them by the dozens on a street corner or their shops, but you have to get this yourself. Now, they definitely should have included this when you consider the price. It's just completely ridiculous that they did not include this. So without this, there's no way for you to test the light up function because there's no battery. It has to be either this connected to a power bank, I suppose, or you have to connect this to the adapter, and then that's how you actually get your power, okay? So I have one of these lying around, fortunately, from like a watch phone or something like that I no longer use. But this can create a little bit of an issue. You have to have 5 volt, 2 milliamp, I think is the setting or the power requirement. And so what I had done initially was I had just grabbed one of my iPhone like chargers, and that kind of counts, but I grabbed the small one that's used to charge my iPhone. And if you do that, that's not enough juice to power this up. The lights will just be wonky, it won't work at all. If you get the larger charger for the iPad, then that does work. But those are pretty expensive. Those are like $20 for one of them, I think, if you get it from the Apple store. This one is like 5 volts, 1.8 amp, not quite 2. The iPad is like 5, 2.1. But this is enough to, to get this to work properly. So just be aware if you're gonna buy one, you have to get this separately, which again, I think is just ridiculous considering what's going on here. For collectibles of this size, usually they include the batteries, not the best batteries, but include the batteries. If you don't include the batteries, you've got to include all the components to get this thing working. So that wasn't too good, okay, that they did this. So I've unplugged it so I can rotate it freely around and give you guys an idea of what it looks like from all different angles. You can take a look here. This is really nice to have kind of the chain mail on the thumb. When I grab it, get an idea again of the sheer size of this thing. It's made out of polystone again, very heavy, nicely detailed, nicely weathered. There's no obvious chips or anything like that I could see. Very accurate. You can really kind of appreciate the beauty of it now that's in front of you. You can actually just look at all of the detail. Very nice. The base is very simple. It's heavy but simple. It's got felt on the bottom. It's black, and at the front it just says Marvel Avengers Infinity War. So very classy display, actually. What else? As with all or most Hot Toys products, this is not numbered. So, I mean, Hot Toys can make literally 10,000 of these, 1 million of these. But at its size and price point, I would guess that there's not many takers. And eventually, obviously, they're going to discontinue making it. The factory only has so much resources, and then the price for this is going to go up a little bit as it sells out. How much? I don't know. What is the market for something this huge, this expensive? I'm not sure, but if you're like a Thanos fan, if you're an Avengers Infinity War fan, then this is basically like the coolest prop of all time, right? This is the Infinity Gauntlet with all 6 Infinity Stones, accurate to the prop, an accurate prop replica licensed from the film. It's pretty amazing. One interesting thing is when you look at the instruction booklet, they actually also give you instructions for how to remove each of the gems. Apparently, each of these gems are connected to an internal circuit board, and you can actually replace the circuit board and even the gems individually. That's kind of interesting. I've never seen a collectible give you instructions to do that. I guess it's nice because if the lights don't work, the circuit board, of course, is what controls the flashing and the breathing, a part of the lights. So I guess Hot Toys made it, they wanted to make it easy for you to replace the circuit board, I guess, in case anything goes wrong with that. So that's pretty forward thinking of them to be able to address the lights. Because one of the knocks against collectibles that light up is what happens if something goes wrong with the lights. They're kind of screwed, they're kind of stuck with that. So Hot Toys did include instructions to actually remove it. And if you move here, you can actually, there's a little bit of wriggle actually in all of these. So there you have it. Overall, I think this is the best life-size replica of the Gauntlet out there in terms of its weight, in terms of its detail, of its quality, the light effects. For sure, this, in my opinion, this is the piece to own. Is it perfect? Not absolutely perfect, but it's pretty darn close because when we have it displayed, it just takes over the room. It's pretty amazing. And I really enjoy the light up effects. No complaints about the quality of the make, the details. Polystone does not feel like cheap plastic. So short of it actually being able to obliterate half the life of the universe with one snap of the fingers, can't imagine a better one than this. For those of you who also own the Taurus version, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. I don't have that one. I just had to make a decision. I'm not gonna have 2 gloves in my house. So I went with the bigger one, the heavier one, and the one that's kind of, in my opinion, has the company with a better reputation, the more established reputation. So I went with the Hot Toys one, and I don't regret that. So hope you enjoyed this review. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it off of the tripod, and then I'm going to just show some close-ups of the glove from all different angles. You can appreciate up close some of the detail, and again, this just shows you just how huge this thing really is. Just kind of gripping it so you can actually get an idea of how big this is, me standing next to it. So let's do that, okay? Here we go. Okay, welcome back. So I'm not even gonna try to show this whole thing in one shot. I'm trying to go back as far as I can. And even back here, I mean, this is about, I'm way back, like 3 feet back here. You can finally see it. So there you have that. So let's just get a little bit close. Here it is, Avengers Infinity War. Again, very nice, simple base. And then here's some of the detail up close and personal. So again, you can see some sort of the rough weathering that they were doing. I think this is accurate and more appropriate than like if it was brand new shining gold or something like that, you know, because again, he has all six stones. So this thing has seen a little bit of combat, has seen a lot of action. So it's good to see kind of this burnished, you know, older, rougher metal. Let's go up. Okay, right here is the Mind Stone, the last one he gets. Here's the soul, the reality, space, power, and then of course on the side here you have time. Backing up, I really like the sort of the way they designed the thumb to put the stone here. So that's really cool. I didn't really appreciate it quite as much during the movie because it's just so overwhelming to see. I didn't see that part here, but this is a really, really nice touch. And of course, here's the thumb. You can see over here some of the chainmail details here. Here are the 4 fingers. It's just so huge, it's crazy. It's like my thumb compared to this thumb. So here's the palm. More detail here. Here's the side. On the top. So you kind of get an idea of all the intricacies that went into designing this thing. Here's the other side. There you go. Here's the switch, middle is off, constantly on, pulsating mode. This is the USB port to get power to this thing. Hot Toys 1-to-1 Infinity Gauntlet of Thanos. Waited close to a year for this. It was worth it. So again, hope you enjoyed that. Until next time, take care.